Call this meeting, the October 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission of the City of Sebastian to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ms. Matthews?
Present.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Present.
Ms. LaRusso?
Here.
Mr. Reno? Ms. Battles?
Here.
Ms. Kinchin?
Here.
Ms. Giese?
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Announcements for tonight. Our alternate member, Mr. Christopher Roberts, has been excused from tonight's meeting, and the city attorney was unable to attend tonight's meeting. Andrew Mai is joining us tonight via Zoom and is available for questions and guidance should we need him. I would like to also ask if any of the commissioners have an objection to moving new business items A and B to the first place. They would become item number 7 on the agenda. Does anybody have an objection to that? Okay. You've all had a copy of the minutes and an opportunity to read them. Does anybody have any additions or corrections? Seeing none, we will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I will make a motion to approve the minutes as written.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So be it. Thank you. Okay. We're now going to invite the first applicant, and I've probably mixed up my paperwork here. Does it make any difference? Yeah.
Our first one is an accessory structure review for 197 Delmar Street, a 506 square foot detached garage for Scott and Donna Huff.
Okay.
I believe they have a representative here.
Good afternoon. Chris Pinson, 481 Avocado. I'm here, Pinson. I'm here representing Mr. Huff. His mother sadly passed away and he had to go out of town to make arrangements. So he is proposing to build an accessory structure on a second lot that he owns, which is tied together through title with his existing house. The garage is a metal building, and it actually exceeds the 500 square foot by 6 feet due to the contract that he made with the metal building company. Reducing it below to meet the 500 would reduce the square footage by 120 square feet. They just didn't offer anything in between. We've made all efforts to at least meet some of the criteria if the building was exceeding over 500 square feet with color swatches that I have here. The colors that he's chosen matches the trim of his house. I don't know if any of you had time to drive through the location. It's in a very heavily wooded lot. He does not have any plans to clear it, and it sits as far back on the property as it possibly can. So I'm here to ask if the 6 feet would be excused as far as the accessory structure is concerned with not matching exactly the house. The other challenge that he has with the house is a red brick house. Therefore, brick facades on metal buildings are difficult to do. So I'm here to answer any questions or concerns that you might have on his behalf.
I do have a question. You said he's not going to clear.
I'm sorry?
How far is he going to clear this lot?
I can't hear you.
How much is he going to clear this lot?
How much does he want to clear his lot?
Mm-hmm.
It
The
is
trees.
cleared to the extent he wants to clear it. He's only leaving access for the driveway and the building.
So there will be a driveway to the building?
Yes. And if you did have a chance to go by the site, there is a temporary drive put in. He also had a pool put in the back, so there is access, and that's where the driveway is proposed to go. We've already poured the slab for the accessory building, so that has all been completed.
Okay. Does the staff?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chairman. Board, yes, like Mr. Pinson said, only because of 5 square feet is this before you. 5 square feet less, and they would not have any of some of these requirements they would have to meet. And so just to explain too, it's 750 square feet is the threshold that says you have to match your house exactly. If it was over that size, they'd have to put brick somehow on this building, but they're on the 501 to 750 says you have to be very similar to the house. And of course, they're on the low end of that 500 square feet. So staff is fine with the size. It meets all the setbacks. What we just wanted to do is get it as close as we could with some of the paint colors to be similar to the house. The homeowner is requesting to paint it sandstone, which more is a beige. That would be up to you. They also have an alternative color that's kind of red. Brick is a hard color to match. You may want to choose brown or something, or you may be okay with it just being the sandstone, the color. But it's basically just the color that we kind of need to get it so that it's similar to the house. But Mr. Pinson did say there is a lot of vegetation on the lot. You're probably not going to see a lot of it from the road. Not sure how much it'll be seen, though, from an adjacent property owner. The house is behind. And so staff is okay with the commission kind of deciding which color scheme you kind of want it to go by. And then we have, we do need to, what we could not get from the plans, so we would just like it part of the record if Mr. Pinson knows how high this garage will be. We just would like to verify that it's not going to be higher than the house.
No, the total height of the garage is at 13 feet. The lot is, well, the house elevation is 3 feet higher than the actual garage foundation, so it's going to be well under the threshold of the height of the house.
And then, like I say, on page 3 of our staff report, just recommended conditions of approval that they do submit for an auxiliary driveway. We'll make sure that way they can get the pipe in where they need to with the new road constructions. It'll probably be just a tree removal permit, not necessarily land clearing. And we just require, it's a minor, just a kind of a cleanup. They have a unity title. It's just still showing as 2 separate lots. There's a tax combined form that we would like them to file. We will prepare that for them and get them. But so really the consideration is just what kind of color scheme, or if you're okay with what they're proposing regarding this accessory structure.
Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Pinson, I had a question, and
Yes.
Dory. On page 2, BC, section 4, number C, it does not exceed 400 square feet in lot coverage. Proposed accessory structure is 506 square feet. And
So-
you said it was 500 square feet, so I'm confused.
So this part of so what we did, this staff report is based on our accessory structure code. And this is kind of confusing because it does show that they don't comply with some things. But basically what it says is if you meet these 4 items, you get an extra 10 feet of a setback. You can go up 10 feet rear setback instead of the required 20. If you don't meet these 4 items, you have to meet a 20-foot setback, which that section is showing, hey, it is over the 400 square feet. You have to meet the regular setback of 20 feet, which they do. So this is just walking you through that section of the code to determine if they get that extra 10 feet in the rear, which they don't, but they already meet that per their survey. They're showing that.
Thank you.
Mr. Carter, any questions? No. Linda?
Did you say that they're going to use the red color?
Well, this color, if you can see,
I know the sandstone,
matches the trim of the house.
but the red is
The red
way brighter than their house.
Yes, it's quite a bit.
Okay,
brighter
that's
than the
not,
brick. But that's the closest one to the brick color.
okay.
There's 3 selections of the red, this one or this one, either one. So he felt like the brick would stand out, the red color of the whole building would stand out even more of the more neutral sand color that would blend into the environment.
The only reason I'm asking is because I live across the street,
Oh, okay.
and I don't want to see the red.
No, I didn't think so.
But you can't see it anyway, because it's very,
Yeah, it's very wooded.
Wooded.
Very wooded.
you have to really look through the driveway hole to see where they're going to put
You have
this
to look through
thing.
his driveway to even see his house with the maples
Yeah.
out front. Yeah.
I live next door to his girlfriend.
Okay, yeah. Now married.
I don't,
Too much information.
Yeah.
but
No questions.
I have no other questions.
Okay. Any questions down here?
I'm
No?
good.
Ms. Battle?
So I don't have any questions. I guess I would just say maybe as a condition of approval, I know on our documentation, we don't have the height. You had mentioned 13 feet. So I think the condition would, maybe adding a condition that it's not taller than the house or, is not as tall as the house.
Well, we can verify based on the information we do have that the house is 14 feet. And if Mr. Pinson is stating for the record that the accessory structure is 13, and I'm probably going to bet there's a little bit of elevation difference between the two lots, staff is comfortable saying that it's not going to,
Yeah.
we'll meet that section that it is.
Yeah, doesn't mean
higher
he would
house.
meet the, they would meet the condition anyways,
Yes.
but yeah.
Okay. If there are no further questions and no further comments, then we will entertain a motion. Yes?
I move we approve, just a second, the accessory structure review, LDC section 54-2-7.5 for 197 Delmar Street for the addition of a garage.
Second.
Could we ask that you add
We
the
need to
conditions
add-
of approval recommended by staff, and that also that the sandstone color is okay, if that's what you're choosing with your motion?
All, both
that okay with you?
Sandstone?
Yes, sandstone.
I have no problems with that.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Ms. Geesey?
Yes.
Ms. Battles?
Yes.
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Ms. Kinchin?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes,
Voting is unanimous.
thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you.
taking the time.
All right. Congratulations. Good luck with it.
And our next petition?
This is another accessory structure review request for 474 Periwinkle Drive. This is for a 748 square foot detached garage. David and Penny Robinson are the homeowners with the request before you. I believe they're here today? Yes.
We are requesting,
Excuse me, you need to say your name so we can have it recorded. We need you to say your name out loud.
Robinson. And Penny Robinson.
Thank you.
We're requesting approval for a accessory building. It is also a metal building. We know that we have to match our home. We have an engineer drawing on how to attach stucco to this metal building and to make sure that the colors match our home as it is. We want to use this to store a boat, a kayak, some lawn stuff. We have access on the side of our home from our current driveway to drive right out back. We wouldn't make it a driveway, so to speak, but we do have access because we use it now to get tree limbs and that kind of things right now. I'm not sure what else I need to say.
Staff report?
Okay, sure, thank you. Yes, this is for 748 square feet. This is not a double lot, this is just a nice large single lot on Periwinkle. And as you can see from the survey, they're going to meet all setbacks, and this is pushed to the back of their lot, about 170 feet from the road, so it does go back very far. Through our review, they meet all the requirements. The only two additional considerations that staff had is based on what we were sent, it was hard to see what color was going to match the roof. They've got that copper, that crimp copper type of metal roof on the house. It'll be a metal roof on the accessory structure. We just maybe asked that when they go to paint the roof, that they just bring in more of a specific color that we can verify it'll be very close to that. And then, yes, based on one of the pictures that we had pulled, and if you drive past their property on the street, you can see that it is very narrow, though, between a palm tree, there's a meter box, they have their AC. We were not privy to what size boat or trailer they had to get something back here, even if there was some vehicles. We just had some concerns that there may be a small encroachment onto the neighbor's property to get back there. And we just wanted to make sure, as we note in our staff report, that there's some sort of, I don't know if it necessarily has to be a full easement from the neighbor, but just to make sure that future owners of both their house and the other house, that there's not any problems with accessing their garage because of that narrow pathway back there. If they have smaller trailers and they're just for kayaks, I definitely can see where this is all doable.
That's narrow at the very beginning, and it gets wider. It's at an angle going back through there.
Okay,
so it
yeah, if you
widens
can mention that to the commission. But those were staff concerns, and based on what they, any additional information, just for consideration. But otherwise, the structure itself meets all our codes and requirements.
Okay. Questions from the commissioners? Mr. Carter?
None.
None? Ms. Geezy?
No. I have none.
I do just want a little bit of clarification. So you're currently driving
Yeah,
to the
I
back
drive
now?
through there now.
Yeah.
And there's no
Drop the
issues?
trailer and whatever you want.
And there's no issues?
No,
No,
And your neighbors are
my neighbors are
good,
cool.
fine
They
with
tell
it, and
me
cool with
whatever
it?
I want.
but we don't encroach on their,
We're not on their land.
when we go by, because it's almost 11 feet at the very narrowest point.
Okay.
And so we can get through.
Okay, because the pictures are a little deceiving on that.
Yeah,
That's what,
but
okay.
I understand that.
Thank you.
Ms.
No
Battles?
questions.
No questions? Okay, when I was reading the report, originally there was mention of an easement, which I assume we are not going to be using an easement.
No.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
There are nothing but problems later on, I'll tell you that. Is the ground stable enough for the,
Yeah,
Yes.
without any,
I drive through there with a 3/4-ton heavy-duty truck now. No problem whatsoever.
okay, don't be spinning your wheels back there.
No.
Okay, okay. I have no other questions. Nothing else to add?
Staff recommends approval with the condition that they just bring us in to the office so we can check the paint color for this, the roof, to get as close as we can to the paint color that they have on the house, which is an unusual color, but otherwise staff recommends approval with that minor condition.
Okay. If there are no more questions, we will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the accessory structure for David and Penny Robinson at 474 Periwinkle Street with the condition that they bring into staff paint colors to be approved for the roof.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. Roll call vote, please.
Yes. Ms. Battles?
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso?
Yes.
Ms. Geesey?
Yes.
Ms. Kinchin?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Ms. Matthews?
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg?
Yes,
Unanimous in favor.
thank you.
Thank you.
Go build, go forth and build.
Congratulations. Good luck with it.
Madam Chairman, for our next item, it's a quasi-judicial item. One of our members, Ms. Battles, was involved in the review, her company. So she is going to step down and excuse herself. And because we have one of our alternate members here, Mr. Terry Reno will be stepping up to vote in her place.
Okay,
So since this is the last item, do I need to come back in or?
I think it'd be okay.
Up to you.
Okay.
if we can't find you, we'll assume that you left.
Trying to sneak out early, Sarah?
Yeah, I know you.
I apologize. We can probably make that more of the record. On some of our projects, especially when we didn't have a city engineer, some of our site plans are reviewed with consulting engineers. And so Sarah's firm was the original consulting engineer on that firm. And so there's that financial thing. State statute requires her to step down since her company has benefited financial from from this project. So that's why she stepped down.
Okay. This is a quasi-judicial hearing. I'm going to open the hearing. And if our city isn't,
Well, the attorney's not here.
our attorney isn't here, shall I read it?
You can, yes.
Okay.
This is for the swearing in? Oh, I'm sorry, for the item, I apologize. We can read that. This is a quasi-judicial public hearing. It's a site plan major modification and a conditional use permit for Dunkin' Donuts, a proposed modification, 900 US Highway 1, for a 4,810 square foot multi-unit commercial building with associate site improvements, restaurant with drive-through facility, 2 retail units. The property has a land use of riverfront mixed use and a zoning district of commercial riverfront.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the commissioners have an ex parte communication or conflicts that they need to disclose? Other than Ms. Battles, who did. Okay, thank you. Are we swearing in?
I hope Mr. May is available via Zoom if he'd like to swear in.
It says in the agenda that all who intend to provide testimony shall submit a speaker oath card to the chair. I'm not sure if that has been done, but I can swear people in otherwise. But if they submitted a speaker oath card, that would be sufficient to have them sworn in. It's at the discretion of the chair. If you want me to swear them in as well, I can be happy to.
I apologize, Mr. May, we did check on this. So staff and the project engineer and the applicant do not have to fill out those speaker cards. But if you are, and I believe some of our audience did already have them, if you are going to come up and speak during public input, that they would need to present their speaker card, and there is a basket up here by the podium that they would put that in. Sorry about that, Mr. May.
It's okay. So I'll swear them in. If you're going to speak on this item, if you could stand and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth on this matter? Answer by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, you're sworn in. Back to you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Will the applicant please make the presentation?
Commission members, my name is Angie Vitter. I'm with MBV Engineering, representing the applicant and owner of the project. I just wanted to thank staff for their support and approval of our project, and I also am looking today to have your approval and the conditions that have been placed we are in agreement with. And I open it up for comments, questions.
Okay. That's it. Staff findings, please.
Thank you. What you have before you, we've given you copies and plans of the proposed project, including elevations. Our staff report basically mimics all the requirements that come from our land development code that the site had to meet, so that's all of those different sections. And I'd like to just quickly go through some of the items and then go over our recommended conditions of approval. This is going to be a major modification. If you're familiar with that area of US 1, this is the existing Dunkin' Donuts building, along with the building to the north. Both of those buildings are going to be demolished. The existing septic tanks that are there are also going to be coming out in wells. They are going to hook up to public water and sewer. And then what they're going to build is a 4,810 square foot multi-unit building, one building there, in the middle of those two sites. And as you can see from the site plan, the restaurant, Dunkin' Donuts new restaurant, will have a drive-through. That drive-through is a conditional use in this zoning district, so there were some additional conditions that this site had to meet for you to approve that the restaurant with the drive-through. And going through our site plan, visit some of the items that we'd like to note. On page 3 of the staff report, this project does meet the required setbacks. There's a Scribner's error where it talks about the side setback west, that should be east. And even though side setback is 10 feet, one of the conditional use criteria is that it does have to be, a building has to be 30 feet from any residential adjacent property. That's a conditional use for the drive-through. They did meet that requirement. We have calculated on page 4 the parking that was required. They are required to have 37. They are providing 37, so parking will be met. And also the required queuing line for their drive-through was minimum is six vehicles. You can see, I believe they've shown 7 on there, so they are going to meet the queuing requirement for that drive-through. From the survey and the proposed plan, the new building will be over some existing utility easements. And I believe there might be power lines in those easements right now, but they have already coordinated with Florida Power and Light, and that power line will be removed. They are currently going through the process. We've sent out the notices to the other, to the existing utility companies, asking them to abandon that easement. And we've already gotten Florida Power and Light's acquiescence to abandon that easement also. So that's in the process, and we've noted that as possibly being a condition of approval, that we get that abandonment of easements before the building is completed, so that we have that legally all taken care of. This project, this is the 3rd iteration in kind of design that we've started off with. The original design had a large stormwater pond to the east side of this building, which is going to be their stormwater retention. It was taking out a lot of the trees. We were really hoping to save that oak tree in the back. There's a very large tree, and I think that's been there for 100 years from the old park that was there for Edgewater. Second iteration, they came back with, they took out the pond. They are proposing an exfiltration type of stormwater, and if you're not familiar with that, those are going to be some containment. Angie can probably go into a little more details with it, but as I know them, they're going to be stormwater chambers that are underneath the parking lot. They have to be maintained and cleaned out every so often, but once they fill up, then they outfall like a normal stormwater system would, which is going to go into our Cleveland Street stormwater system. We have a really good baffle box at the end of that from St. John's that cleans that water, so we prefer that water to go into there. We'll get that extra clean before it goes, filtrates into the lagoon. But the second iteration had a large loading zone and was also going to have to remove that tree. So what you have before you is working in coordination with the MBV and staff. We were able to save that tree, which will act as a nice buffer for the townhouses to the east. I believe that tree and the other trees that they're saving are shown on their landscape plan. So that's with regards, I wanted to go into the stormwater a little bit. With regards to the conditional use permit, on page 6, we have noted the criteria that they needed to meet. The only one that they don't meet is number 2, which states that the curb cuts when the curb cuts, we're talking about the driveways. There's one on Cleveland Street, there's one on US 1. They shall be limited to a maximum width of 50 feet and shall be located no closer than 35 feet removed from the property lines. The US 1 driveway meets that. The one on Cleveland is actually 30.6. If they were to move that to meet that, we'd have to redesign Cleveland Street. There's some stamped parking there. There's a decorative street light and there's a palm tree. All 3 of those items would have to be kind of moved around. But it wasn't for staff to say they could keep that there. If you are okay with them being 4.4 feet from the property line, from the requirement that they need, that should be a part of your motion if you'd like to waive that condition that driveway can remain where it is. Regarding also traffic, there's a statement on the site plan, calculating what's existing from those 2 buildings, and then applying some engineering, traffic engineer standards. There will be additional 295 daily trips. It did not trip the 400 threshold, so we did not have to require a full analysis. but there will be an additional trips to that site based on the new uses. Also, let's see, we talked about, the only other thing we wanted to discuss, because it's one of our conditions, is if you have seen both on the site plan and the landscape plan, because they're abutting the townhouses to the east, they're required to have an opaque buffer, 5 to 6 feet. They are proposing a fence, and it does show on the site plan, it's abutting that townhouse, it's in that area of the townhouse. It does show that it's 4 feet off of the property line, and then the required landscaping is to the outside of that fence. If that is the desire of the townhouse residents, there's nothing in our code that states that landscaping has to be inside or out of the fence. But if the townhouse residents, and I think there's some here, if they want to speak on that, would they rather have the landscaping on the outside as proposed on this plan? Staff had concerns with it being on the outside, though, that usually your landscapers are only going to do things that they think are on your property inside that fence, and that landscaping may be neglected, they may think that it's owned by the townhouses and that they need to maintain that. So that was just a concern or something that you may want to discuss with both the engineer and or the residents, if they're here from the townhouses, on where they would like that fence that's going to offer them some buffering on that east side property line. Otherwise, they did a great job with the landscaping. Everything new now does meet the current riverfront overlay districts, because these were 2 sites that were, well, at least the northern site was not in compliance. They meet all the new comp plan requirements, our land development code. Staff recommends approval with the following conditions on page 8. The abandonment easement needs to be done before we CO the building, but that is already in the process. With discussion on the rear opaque buffer, if you would like that to be moved. Because the stormwater system outfalls directly to Cleveland Street, we're requesting a yearly stormwater maintenance report to be prepared and forwarded to the city engineer so that we can verify that those chambers are being maintained. And that because there's a weir that's going to be going for their outfall right on Cleveland Street, they're threading it between the light and that palm tree. We're not sure if there's electrical under that. We're requesting that they give city engineering staff a call, the contractor, to have city staff on site when they construct that rear in our right-of-way, so that city staff is also there. And then staff also recommends, we feel it's okay to allow that conditional use criteria with regarding the curb cut to be 30.6 feet from the property line instead of the required 35 feet.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the commissioners? Let's start with Mr. Carter.
Yeah, I have a few questions, please. In regards to the 2 drive-up windows, is that going to be traditionally one for the customer to pay and then the other to pick up? Or how is the traffic flow through there?
That second one's for a second.
First window that's on.
Oh, Mr. Figueredo, do you need to come and speak up?
The first window to the east will be the drive-through pickup. The second one is there in case there's a big order, so they could just drive up instead of, putting a delay on picking up the food. Okay. So usually 90% of all the pickup will be at that east window.
So everything is done at that one window,
correct.
Typically?
Correct.
Mr. Carter, I can let you know where that design also came, though, from, is because the window was originally closed, and we were nervous if you look at those 2 drive aisles, that if you're around there and then you needed to go to another unit, if you came off of Cleveland Street, you had to cut in front of that drive aisle to get to the parking. We were concerned about that, so they moved the window back so that sometimes there may be a car there, but most of the time, and you can see the directional arrows on that site plan, that there'll be room to come around that building if you're going to visit one of the other units after you pick up from the drive-through. So there was a little intention on why that design is there at the corner of that building.
Okay. One other concern I have, I don't know if it's a real concern, on the elevation of the building itself, which really looks nice, by the way. I was hoping there may be more of the fishing village theme that we have mandated for certain areas in the city. So I don't know if there's been any thought given to that. Has there been, Dory?
Well, we required the decorative lighting, so you can see there is proposed gooseneck lighting.
Sort of there, yeah.
And I think besides their standard stucco, they are doing board and batten, which will hopefully give it that, what we're looking for in that Florida fishing village type of thing. We've got the metal roof. I'm not sure if there's any other suggestions that you have, but this does meet code. for what we have in our Riverfront Overlay District requirements.
Then just another comment, I was disappointed when y'all stopped having ice cream there.
Understood. Sorry about that.
But anyway, thanks for reinvesting back in the community.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Ms. Geesey?
I'm very impressed with your presentation and with your plans, and I think it will be a good addition to the neighborhood. I, too, would like to see ice cream back.
I'll see what I can do.
And I'm surprised you didn't bring any donuts with you this evening, but that's okay. My main concern was that rear opaque buffer. I think saying that it would be better to have the fence be outside, be at the property line, is kind of letting the property owner off the hook. I mean, they should be responsible wherever that fence is, wherever the landscaping is, of taking care of it, whether it's inside or outside. So,
and we will. Yeah.
I would defer to any property owners and the townhouse people to what they want, and not give you an out by saying, you know, your landscape crew might not realize it. That would be up to you to maintain.
Yeah, we're comfortable with the fence being in either location.
Okay.
So whatever's preferred by the neighbors is fine.
Thank you. That was my only concern.
Well, I don't have any concerns. I just want to know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
Because I have to drive all the way to 510 to get that Dunkin' Donuts drive-through.
My only question, Doria, with the 2 retail units, does it matter what type of retail goes in as opposed, you know, would it affect the parking figures?
So retail, retail is just retail per our definition. It can be any type of retail. But I think it was good because retail is the most intense parking, and they've included that for that square footage of those retail units. So if a medical office came in or a professional insurance office, which has different parking calculations, they will actually then have more parking. So by using the retail for their parking calculations, they've calculated the most intense uses on the site and will have adequate parking. Maybe only if another restaurant came in, but they may have some requirements or covenants and deeds restrictions that only a type of restaurant can come in. But direct answer to your question, it can be any type of retail.
Okay.
I do have a couple. Can you walk me through the drive-through issue again, or the drive-through part again? I can see
Sure.
that on here, but I'm kind of a little, coming in off of Cleveland, that's going to be a nice tight, and then when you come around, is it going to put you into the right lane? I mean, I can see, you know, the people coming in off of US 1 that are going to turn right, I don't, you know, or they may, is that going to be an issue? Just walk me through that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, you'll come up north US 1, take a right. You'll take a right in front of the building, and then that first left is the drive-through. And they'll have signage.
Okay,
and
but
there's
other than a sign.
sign on the ground.
Okay, and other than a
then,
sign that says one way, or what are you, or do not enter, what are, I mean, I see people coming in off US 1 and going straight, regardless of the arrow.
There is a one-way do not enter marking on the pavement.
Pavement
there.
as well? Okay.
Yes.
And how are you directing the traffic to get into that right lane? When they come around the back side of the building, they're coming in out of the blind.
If they're coming from Cleveland, you mean, or when they circle around? Or are you talking about the back of the building?
Out of the drive-through, when they're coming they're coming through there in the blind, and they're coming around the side of a building.
Yeah, when they come around the side, they will just go forward and get into that right lane. There is an arrow. Do you want me to show? Oh, yeah. My finger, I'm just pointing and she has no idea what I'm doing. Yeah. Okay. There we go. Here's the one-way do not enter on the pavement as well, with a big bar to help them know not to go that way. So they'll be going this way, and there's a right turn arrow there as well.
No.
Can I turn it? Okay. Is this going to okay. I don't want to leave it. Okay. And then, so now they're going to turn right, and there's an arrow here, right turn. Oh, there we go. Even better. Thank you. And then, yeah. Okay. So then you can't go this way because there'll be this one way. I mean, you're not supposed to. And there'll be cars here, most likely, coming around. So they'll come around, and then there's the arrow to go out, and then to go straight. And then you have to turn right on US 1. So when they turn in, that's the right arrow to let them know to come this way. There's the bar to stop them. And then they'll come around here. You can see this part. And this is where it says drive-through. And they'll come around this way to do the drive-through.
Okay, so I guess my question is on this. I can see the traffic pattern.
Yes.
But what is it that when you're hitting that curve and coming off the blind side of that building, what is going to direct you to go to the right lane?
So you're concerned about this car right here?
I'm concerned about right in there because what
Yeah,
I
mean, it's
see happening
almost-
is either the traffic going
There's a little bit of an
straight.
offset, but it's not much. So I just standard right side of the road. You know, I think you'll just understand that you need to be on the right. And it's also, even if you went straight, you would sort of be in the center, but I think that somebody would realize that there's a double yellow bar there, and they know to be on the right side. I mean, we could add some kind of dashed line if you think it's necessary, but I think it'll be, and like I said, it's just slightly offset. They'll be able to understand this arrow. This is actually where they're going to be right here is where they're going to be picking up their food. So that arrow directs them to go this way, and they should be following this arrow to go out. This one here is a secondary big order window, just as a secondary purpose, and then they'll just make their way a little bit over to the right and get out.
Okay. And then the other, I see that the fire trucks have gone through there. That's a pretty tight radial turn on that Cleveland. Has that been, you've got approval and everything was done with that?
Yes, there should be a sheet also in your packet that did show the emergency vehicle access. It's been reviewed by our fire prevention, fire marshal, to make sure that the radiuses were okay. I think what may be confusing up on that one corner is part of that drive aisle on the right is a concrete pad for the dumpster. So it looks like it narrows down, but that pad is also part of that drive aisle, and that also is room for those cars going around there. But yes, the site has been checked for the radiuses required for the fire trucks.
Okay.
Listen.
I had some questions about the drive lanes also, but they've been answered.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Now we will open the floor to anyone who wishes to speak in favor of this request. Anyone from the floor? Okay. Seeing none, we will open the floor to anyone who is opposed to the request. Please identify yourself, and if you have a complicated name, spell it.
My name is Joe Whitaker, Whitaker. I'm the president of River Oaks Townhomes, the townhomes that are to the east of this property. We had some requests, and y'all already discussed one of the requests about the fence, having the shrubbery on their side of the, so we don't have to maintain it. The other question was, where exactly, we didn't get to look at the actual site plan. Where are the drive and windows, and where is the actual, where they order at?
Yeah. Show him the.
This is going north.
This is the east side. Where
Yeah,
do
this
they?
is the east side.
This is where our buildings are. This is
Okay.
where our townhomes are at.
Right.
So, where do they do the ordering at? This,
Where they order?
yes.
The ordering is right. I think it's right here.
If we can put that back on the Elmo, then.
Yeah, that'd be helpful.
And the only subject matter we have on it is the noises of ordering the stuff and the repeating back of what the orders is it going to be facing towards our townhomes? Because early in the morning, we're still residing there. So that's the request of, can we move it to where it is not facing towards us, or at least the speakers and everything else? You get what I'm saying? Because our buildings are right here on the east, over here. And if you're ordering here, where's the mics and everything gonna be facing, or the speakers facing?
Menu board right here. So will be, there's a large 48-inch oak right here.
Yes.
Like right here, but it's, you know, it's a huge tree. So these limbs here, and then here's the fence. So it is getting a buffer. It's right here. The board is right here.
All right.
So it's at least in front of the buffer.
And there's no other way of changing where it could be on this side?
Just that provides the stacking distance that we need.
All right, well, that's what we kind of oppose, is the fact that we're gonna hear the speakers of the orders coming back that way. I mean, I don't know if anything can be done about it, but that's what we're opposing, and we just have our request of having the shrubbery on the
west side.
on the west side.
Line.
Correct. Just due to irrigation and upkeep of the. So, I don't have anything else right now.
Sir, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Would your association prefer to be looking at a fence or looking at shrubbery?
Fence.
You'd prefer to be looking at a fence?
We would prefer looking at a fence because the fence is right on the property line or where their line is, and we don't have to upkeep.
Because she said they can do it either way, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we would request looking at the fence, not
All right,
this.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Anyone else opposed?
My name is Robert Cox. I live 732 Cleveland, as well at River Oaks Townhomes. I've owned that particular property since 2018, have lived in the city of Sebastian since I've actually been 5 days old. So I've watched the town grow. I appreciate small business such as themselves, bring it back to the community. I know my ex-wife used to have about a $500 a month habit at Dunkin', so I know that people enjoy that particular location, which is part of my concern. I actually live, would be the second unit over from the proposed new drive-through, not the end unit, but one over. My major concern, kind of like Joe spoke with you and raised, is just the amount of noise. We do have, such a, even with the businesses that are currently there now, presently, it just has that, small, quaint, quiet atmosphere throughout the day. It really only gets lively maybe after, 6 o'clock when Paradolia and some of the other restaurants and bars are moving and shaking at night. So as someone who is actually a commercial airline pilot who flies red eyes at night, I do like my quiet time, in the mornings, which we've seen problems with in the past when the train station was, selling hot dogs and had the loudspeaker outside. There's nothing better than hearing, order number 101 15 times at 10:30 in the morning. So I know that's a concern. I don't know if the location of the drive-through window is actually on the proposal now, but Joe spoke of, and I know you asked, would you rather look at the landscaping or a fence? And I think that as we were talking, as the presentation was being presented, that it's not so much as the aesthetics of what we're looking at, but maybe that additional landscaping, creates that sound barrier for us on that side. And once again, I don't think any of us are proposed of building and progress, but we just want to make sure that our rights as homeowners to be able to have, some kind of quaint environment in that area is still upheld. And I appreciate Mr. Carter talking about the design and the look of the building. I think it's definitely important for us to keep that, the look that we have currently in progress on our riverfront of, the quote-unquote fishing village that we have. I travel all over the country, and I watch over the years small cities that had those looks get turned into what is today the Naples, epicenter of just everything looks the same, and it's just commercial building one after another. So I hope that is not the case in this particular situation. I appreciate you letting me, share my concerns. I wish you guys the best of luck with your business. I just hope that you will take our considerations of the sound and those issues into play today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who is opposed? Okay. Does the applicant wish to respond in any way to anything?
Best to comply.
Has to be from the microphone.
We will do our best to comply and not be a nuisance to the neighborhood behind us. We've been there for 25 years already. I know it's a big change. We're going to take that corner to the next level. We're going to demolish that old building and put something that is in code to the Key West, the fisherman style landscape that we have already. So we're going to do everything we can to comply and be good neighbors.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I may have one other comment. Would it help any to increase the height of the fence that you have as far as additional sound barrier?
Well, I have a suggestion I was going to bring up when we came back to staff's response.
Okay.
I'm not sure offhand. I'd have to check to see codes on 8-foot fences if we went to 8 feet. That could possibly be a consideration. But I'd like just to run through over something too.
Sure, please do. Yeah, that it is a concern.
I need less. So I did want to, I know, and I apologize to any of the residents, they could have stopped at our office. We definitely would have gotten you guys these sets of plans, and you can have this set of plan too afterwards. You can see this. But again, as Angela pointed out, right here is going to be, there's a menu board, kind of a height board that says, hey, no trucks over 15 feet, kind of that entrance is going to be right here. The board where you place your order is going to be right here. On this particular plan, and you can barely see it, but here's that tree that's going to be saved. Let's see if we can zoom in on that a little bit. But this was just the site plan. What I wanted to show you is that I'm not sure the residents hadn't seen. Here's the actual landscape plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is the large tree that is going to be saved. That menu board is right in here, but I also wanted to show that there will be a lot of the riverfront requires what we call foundation planting. So there's a lot of plants going around the building. They are planting some additional trees. The fence is going to be right along this line here. There are a lot of additional trees going in here, so there will be some buffer. But here's the drive aisle, and I wanted to suggest that even as consideration, it could be either a higher fence, but there's nothing. This is all sod right in here. And so
it's all what?
We could require sod,
okay.
Grass. We could require some additional landscaping right in that area, maybe another 20 feet of additional 5 to 6 foot hedging in the area of where that menu board is going to be that would act as a noise buffer also. So there is room. I did verify that. It could be a condition of approval, or if you'd rather want to discuss and talk about an 8-foot fence, that could be a, I don't know if that starts looking very barrier looking, but that could be a consideration too that would help with possible noise. But I think the closer we get some landscaping to the actual sound where it would maybe coming from, maybe a better buffer than the fence.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, Madam Chairman, I just wanted to, for staff's recommendation, that we do feel it meets all that. We're recommending approval with the four requirements of the 4 recommended conditions of approval on page 8, along with an additional number 5, which would state additional landscaping shall be planted as a noise buffer that runs along the easternmost drive aisle at another 5 to 6 feet, maybe 20 feet, something to that extent for an additional condition, unless you'd like to consider a fence, a higher fence, I'm sorry.
Okay. Commissioners' deliberations, and we'll start at this end this time. And any additional questions?
No, I think the additional landscaping would be better than a taller fence.
The additional plantings?
Yeah, the additional planting.
Okay.
I have no further. I'm in agreement with Mr. Reno. I think the additional landscaping would be better than a taller fence.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm good. I agree with the additional noise buffer.
As do I.
Yep.
And I agree with that as well. And I don't have as much issue with the speakers systems as I do with the great big dual wheel trucks with the diesel motors that sit there and roar while they're waiting for their donut holes. But hopefully.
They won't be able to go through there.
They won't be able to fit.
They won't, they'll be too tall.
But I'm really happy that this is going to be a major upgrade to that location. And I'm particularly pleased with the being attached to municipal water and sewer and the groundwater.
Yes.
Our office building has the underground things, and they work.
Infiltration system.
They work extremely well.
Yes.
Solves a lot of issues. So, that being said, we will now entertain a motion. Oh, I'm sorry. I have to close the hearing. Thank you. That being said, this hearing is closed. And now we will entertain a motion. From one of the commissioners.
Madam Chairman, I'll like to make a motion
Thank you.
for the site plan major modification and conditional use permit for Dunkin' Donuts, 900 US Highway number 1, 4,810 square feet multi-unit commercial building with associated site improvements, restaurant with drive-through facility plus 2 retail units, the RMU Riverfront Mixed Use Land Use CR Commercial Riverfront Zoning District. In addition, I would like to include the 5 conditions that staff recommends, which would include the 4 listed, plus the additional landscaping in that buffer zone, as well as the conditional use permit application be approved with the waiver which will allow the existing Cleveland Street driveway to remain at 30.6 feet from the property line instead of the required 35 feet.
Thank you.
It was a mouthful.
I second.
Okay, roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kinchin,
Yes.
Ms. Cottenberg,
Yes.
Ms. Matthews,
Yes.
Ms. Geesey,
Yes.
Ms. LaRusso,
Yes.
Mr. Carter.
Yes.
It is unanimous and it is approved.
Thank you. I would also like to say thank you so much for having put so much work into the plans already. It was a breeze reading through these plans,
Yeah.
as is shown by the limited number of questions left over. Thank you.
Thank you.
And think ice cream.
Ice cream.
Good luck.
Okay, we have no unfinished business, and we took care of our new business to begin with. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you all.
Good meeting.